In this video, we're going to talk about one of the most important security ideas in the cloud, the principle of least privilege. I promise you that this concept shows up again and again in AWS and everywhere you're dealing with security best practices. Least privilege is an old idea from traditional IT and operating systems. On Linux or Windows, regular users can't install system software or access other users' files, unless they're explicitly allowed to. In the cloud, we apply the same idea to every user, application, and services. The principle of least privilege means only give people and systems the permissions they absolutely need to do their jobs, and nothing more. To make this more concrete, let's walk through a small, imaginary online store called Cloud Gadget Shop and see how least privilege applies to each section. Cloud Gadget Shop has a few key components: a website where customers browse and place orders, an order management tool for staff, a payment system that charges credit cards, and a report dashboards for sale and revenue. First, imagine a warehouse staff user. Their job is to see which item needs to be packed and mark them as shipped. They only need permission to view orders and update shipping status. They don't need to refund payments, change product prices, or view financial reports. Next, think about a support agent. Support agents respond to customer questions, update shipping addresses, and check order status. They may need limited refund access and permissions to update certain customer details, but they don't need access to product catalogs or application code. Now consider a store manager. Managers may review reports, adjust inventory levels, and occasionally issue larger refunds. However, they still don't need access to raw payments data or low-level system configurations. And finally, imagine the owner of the Cloud Gadget Shop. The owner may need visibility into almost everything: financial reports, payment settings, user accounts, and system configuration, especially in a small business where they handle many responsibilities. Now let's see why least privilege matters. If we go back to the warehouse staff role example and imagine we made a mistake and gave them full access control. If an attacker steals that user's credentials, they could change prices, issue refunds, or access sensitive business data, and that would be a serious incident. With least privilege applied correctly, that same compromised account could only affect shipping status and the damage would be absolutely limited. Least privilege also helps reduce accidents as well. When everyone has a broad access, a single mistake can delete resources, expose data, or misconfigure critical settings. By limiting permissions, you limit the blast radius, both for attacks and for human errors. Another key part of least privilege is granular permissions. Instead of simply granting access to a system, you define exactly what actions are allowed. For example, consider the reports dashboard role. A business analyst may only need to view and export dashboards. A developer may configure data collections but not access financial exports. A customer should have no access at all. So instead of saying this user can access the dashboard, you define permissions like view reports, change report setting, export data. This detailed level of control is exactly what AWS IAM, Identity and Access Management, provides. IAM is the core service used to apply the principle of least privilege on AWS. IAM answers two fundamental questions: who or what is the identity, which means a role, a user, application, or AWS service, and what actions are allowed and on which resources. With IAM, you can create users for people, create roles for AWS services like EC2 or Lambda, and attach policies that define precise permissions, such as reading from a specific S3 bucket or querying a specific DynamoDB table, for example, to those roles. The principle of least privilege not only applies to people, but also applies to applications and infrastructure as well. For example, a Lambda function may only need read from one table. An EC2 instance may only write logs to CloudWatch, or a reporting tool may only run read-only database queries. So if you should remember one line from this video, it would be never ever grant more permissions than required and give only what's needed, only to the exact identity on every single AWS resource. Okay, before finishing the video, let's have a quick summary on what we covered in this video. Least privilege reduces the impact of security breaches, lowers the risk of accidental changes, and makes environments easier to manage. You should always remember to apply it wherever it's applicable. Use granular permissions, avoid broad access, and regularly review who has access to what. AWS IAM is the service that you apply principle of least privilege to your AWS resources. With the way you create IAM groups, IAM users, IAM roles, and IAM permissions, you can define who can access which resources and what actions they can perform on that resource. Alright, that is it for this video, everyone. Please make sure you build safe, stay least privileged, and please stop giving everyone admin access. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, and I'll see you in the next video.